So you want that cinematic look, but your budget is zero, and you're thinking about just slapping it up and praying that it goes well. But today, I'm telling you that I can teach you a way to get a pro look without hiring a colorist. Now, I started off as a videographer, as a broke videographer about 6 years ago. I had no money, no experience, no expertise, no nothing. I just learned from experience, from watching YouTube tutorials, and eventually following a few courses. But why do I say this? I say this because now I grade for clients worldwide, okay? But I started off as a one-man band, and I know what it means to do everything yourself, especially when it comes to color grading your own footage. So let's be real for a second. A real colorist is always going to be better than just doing things yourself. It's always going to be worth it. So if you do have the budget, you should absolutely hire one, period. But most indie filmmakers, especially at the start, don't have the budget to hire a colorist. So this is for you. When I started, my videos looked like Instagram filters gone wrong. Okay, and you better believe that. Because I used LUTs without knowing what they were doing and why I was doing certain things. I absolutely demolished my skin tones. I lost a bunch of clients because of this. So I can absolutely say that I did learn the hard way. So here's what I wish that somebody showed me when I was broke and desperate for results. Listen, most people fall under the category of preset pirates. They get a LUT from somewhere on the internet. They slap it on top of their footage without knowing what it's doing and if it's meant for their type of footage. They mess with the contrast just a little bit and they call it a day. Don't be that guy. A color king, on the other hand, builds his look, even if it's just with simple tools. So today, I'm gonna show you how it's done with simple tools, no BS, and simple node trees. Let's go. Okay, so right here on Davinci, this is a video that I already graded. This is from a music video, and I've got a few shots right here. This was shot on an FX3, so of course we're working in log. This is gonna be S-Log3. You're gonna watch me handle it. First things first, I'm gonna switch to the color tab, and we need to convert this footage. Now, on YouTube, you have probably seen somebody go like this. You've probably seen somebody up their contrast, maybe up exposure, and add some saturation. Now, while this may look good at first, I can assure you there's a better way to convert this footage from a log image to a normalized one. And I'm gonna show you. It takes just a few clicks. So we're gonna make a new node. I'm using Alt-S, if you're on Windows, if you're on Mac, Option-S to make a new node. We're gonna open our Effects tab. What are we doing? I'm gonna explain. For those of you who are new to Davinci, a node is like a layer, okay? Watch it like that. See it like that, basically. Node is like a layer, and it's a placeholder. Like, I can make as many nodes as I want. They're empty right now, okay? I can label them what I want them to be, and it doesn't change anything. What changes really what's going on is what we do inside of these nodes, okay? So you can do different things like in the same node. There's nobody that's telling you that you can't do that. You can do, like, your grade can be done. I could say, like, it can almost be done in just one node, but if you want to work as a professional, you want to do things in a certain order, and you want to differentiate your nodes by what you're doing, because it allows you to see, like, first you can do on and off of individual things. If you do on and off like this, you're going to see that, yeah, we see like everything get turned on and off at the same time, and you can't really tell if a certain adjustment only is affecting the image in a good way or bad way, because you turn off everything at once. So there's that. And second, if you need to, let's say I go to this other clip, which is really similar, it's just another angle of him, and I want to paste the same grade that we just created, the same look. If I want to change something and I've done everything in just one node, say, it's going to be really hard for me to pinpoint what I want to change. Or I just need to go look through everything that I've done. Instead, if you go and name all that you're doing, so EXP, exposure, cont for contrast, this is going to be saturation, and you realize that this clip is a little too saturated, you can just go to your saturation node that it's going to be right here, and it's going to transfer over once we paste the footage, the look, sorry. You can just go into this node and touch your saturation. Okay, so it's going to be very simple. That's why we make different nodes, and in each node we decide to do just one thing. Okay, focus on one thing. When you want to do something else, make a different node. I'm going to show you how I really would go about it, and it's not going to be as complex as the real grade that I did for this video, but it's going to be sufficient enough that you can get a good look, a professional, clean look for your footage. Okay, let's go ahead. So this is, as I told you, shot on FX3. And the director told me, since they shot on FX3, this is S-Log3. So we're gonna create a new node, open our effects tab, and we need to get a tool. Okay, here you have tools from Resolve that you can use. These are also tools. These are ways you can affect your image. We need to select a tool from these ones, okay? Don't worry about it, it's simple. Don't make it complex. We search. We need to search for this tool because you see that there's a lot, okay? I don't wanna go through all of them. Open your search tab and search color space. You see? Color space transform. We're gonna use this. Us colorists call this the CST because it's the abbreviation of color space transform. You need to get this tool. You say to Resolve, hey Resolve, I wanna get this tool working on this node. And we select the node. And now you're gonna see like there's nothing different. Like in this node, you can still make adjustments and all sorts of things. But if you click on this node, first you can see that there's the FX close to the node number, which tells you that you have an effect applied on this node. And this FX, you can see it only where you apply effects from this tab. So it's like plugins, okay, view like that. Now, what you wanna be doing is this. You wanna go over here, let's delete this node. You wanna go over here and you wanna open the effects tab to open your plugin, okay? View like a plugin, which is your color space transform. Now, don't worry about all these things, these advanced things, just worry about these four. You need to, see, Davinci Resolve is very smart. You can tell it if you shot something in log and it's gonna do your job for you. So it takes just like a few clicks. How do you do that? You need to select what color space you recorded this with, what gamma you recorded that with, and what you want it to output. And I'm gonna show you. Input color space, you need to select, in this case, S gamma 3 cine. You can see that the clip's colors are already changing because they're being interpreted differently. Then for input gamma, we want to select S-Log3. We want to scroll down, Sony S-Log3. Do you see that it has all these gammas already saved up? You can choose the one for your camera. If it's in here, you can choose the one that's right for your camera. So we just go for S-Log3. And you can see the footage gets converted. Now this is going to look bad because it's not being converted to the right gamma and this was underexposed. So bear with me. Output color space, we're going to go with Rec 709. The output color space Rec 709 doesn't change anything when we select it because the timeline is already in Rec 709. So this is like saying use timeline. It's the same thing. If I say Blackmagic Design, you see it change. If I say use timeline, it doesn't change. If I say Rec 709, it doesn't change because it's already Rec 709 in the timeline. So use timeline and Rec 709 are the same thing. You can leave it at that, or I would just select Rec 709 for good measure. It's a good habit to have. My timeline gamma is not right. You can tell that this doesn't look right. It's way too underexposed. And I'm telling you, it is underexposed, but not by this much. So we need to select the right gamma because the timeline gamma surely isn't working, isn't right. So how do you get this to look normal? Well, first we got to define what normal is. So every display has a different gamma. Gamma is the way you interpret brightness, contrast, exposure. You see, if we change from 2.2 to 2.6, it changes. If you go from 2.6 to Rec 709, it changes. From Rec 709A, it changes again. So we need to decide. To make it simple, to not overcomplicate that, I'm just going to select gamma 2.4 because this is what most displays, most TVs, and most screens can display. If you need to export from YouTube, you can go with 2.4. If it's for social, I would go 2.2 because usually Instagram and phone screens, they usually use gamma 2.2. You're not going to have like a 100% precise gamma 2.2 on every phone, let's say, because they're not made to be that precise. Every display is going to be a bit different. Every display is calibrated a little different. We're just aiming for a ballpark right here. So we're going to say, hey, Davinci, get this in gamma 2.4, and then we're going to go from there. So now that this is converted, I'm going to rename it so that I remember what it does from a glance, so that I can look at things like this and say, oh, this was my CST. So I'm going to rename it CST, done. Now, we need to grade the image. And there comes a question, where do we grade the image? Where do we start to get the look done? Now, you can do the look after the CST, but this is wrong. This is wrong because if we raise exposure, there's not actually that much detail that we can recover. In this case, it's not working that bad. I could show you a different example, but I'm just going to tell you the right way to do it is before this gets converted to Rec 709. Because when this gets converted to Rec 709, we're going to lose detail. I'm going to show you. If we drop exposure before the Rec 709 change, basically, and we go after, and we raise exposure, do you see how it looks absolutely horrible? Because we've burnt the image, basically. We've lost all detail. Because this, what we have in the middle, we can't recover the data that there was before the transformation, because we're going from a very big gamma in color space, which is S-log3 and S-gamma3 cine, from a smaller color space in gamma, which is after the transformation. It's all happening in here, and what gets lost in the shadows, so you see like it's all in the shadow, we have no more detail, look at our scopes. What gets lost here, we can't recover it after. So this would be different if we instead, after this node where we pushed everything down, I'm gonna show you what I'm doing, like just bear with me. After this node, if we go and raise everything up again, do you see how different it looks? Because we're recovering detail. Because the detail is still here, it didn't get clipped by the transformation. Why does it get clipped? It gets clipped because right here, even though the image looks normal, we're still working before the transformation. So we're really just working in log right now. We have activated this node because I want to see what the image is going to look like at the end, but actually we're working in log. Look at the way the node is showing what we're doing. This is log, 100% log. And since log is a bigger color space, has bigger color space in gamma than Rec 709, we can play with the image. Nothing gets clipped because all the detail is still there. Even if we push it out of our scopes, we don't lose detail. Detail is going to be lost after the conversion. So that's what we want to be careful with. So how do you handle this really? Get the CST, throw it right here at the end. You don't need to worry about it anymore. Now I hit Shift S to make a new node. And this is going to be a node that it's made before the one I was selecting before. If you hit Option or Alt S, it's going to go after. If you hit Shift S, it's going to go before. So here's a simple way to grade your footage. Let's begin. Shift S to make a new node before the one we were selecting. In this node, the first thing that I want to affect of my image is the exposure. How do you do that with so many tools? You need to know that in Resolve, we have so many tools that do different things and so many tools that do the same thing, but differently. I'm going to show you the best professional way to affect your exposure. You're going to go to your HDR wheels right here, and you're going to go global, and you're going to affect the exposure globally. This is different from doing it in the primaries color wheels with the offset, which appears to be affecting the whole exposure. This is different. The HDR color wheels, when you go global and you adjust its exposure, as you can see, it's being raised differently. This is more similar to what would happen if you raise exposure in your camera by raising your ISO. So this is why we want to raise it this way, because this is realistic. If you're underexposure image and you want to raise the exposure, doing it this way would be like just doing it with your camera in the first place. So this is the way you want to go. We raise exposure. I would say about right here is okay. I'm satisfied with what I'm seeing. And I'm going to rename this EXP. We're going to make a new node. In this node, I'm going to adjust the contrast. I'm going to play with the contrast. I like playing with the contrast with the primaries color wheels because they're simple to use. You can use them as well. And if I really need to dial in the contrast, I'm going to use the curves. I'm not sure that I'm going to do that. I'll just show you what I would do and what I'm going to do for this example. So we have already quite a bit of contrast in the image. It's of course lit pretty well, but I'm going to show you what I would do if I wanted to raise contrast. You can go with this slider, raise contrast this way. As you can see, this is going to raise saturation as well. Of course, you're going to raise saturation inevitably if you raise contrast. I'm going to show you how to deal with that later or in another video. It depends on what we're going to do with this grade. What I would personally do is try to get some separation between skin and what's behind them. I would actually try to go this way, a little darker on the shadows, and I would then compensate by going here in the log wheels. So we're primaries log wheels right now. I'm going to go in the log wheels, which do more targeted adjustments compared to the primaries color wheels. I would target my shadows. So do you see how we crushed everything? I like the fact that he got dark basically right here, but I don't like the fact that it's too crushed. There's nothing bad with crushing things. I just don't like it in this example. It's looking too dark. So I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to go select my shadow, and you can tell Davinci what to view as shadow and what not to view as shadow by adjusting your range right here, which appears once you go to log wheels. I'm just going to go right here. I want to decompress, not decompress really. I just want to raise my shadows. I'm really just compressing them. I'm pushing everything down and then I'm compressing things up. Basically, this is what I'm doing. You can also see it in my scope. See how it gets compressed basically? This is something that I do often. Just a little though, to not make it that dark. I'd say this is acceptable. Okay, we're gonna call this contrast. Didn't touch my gain actually. I mean, you're gonna see on YouTube people that talk about maxing the scopes. You don't really need to do that. That's BS. Get the image to a point where you like it. Let's say that I realize that it's still too dark, but I like the contrast. I like the contrast ratio. We go in the first node that we made, and I go to the HDR color wheels and I adjust exposure. Do you see why we're working with many nodes? So we're gonna go back, we're gonna raise exposure. I think there's too much contrast actually. Yeah, I'm gonna bring this down. Okay, what do we do after exposure and contrast? Now we need to handle our colors. So what I would do is make another node, call it saturation. In this node, we're gonna go and just look at our saturation. Do we like what it's doing? Is this too saturated? I'd tell you this is too saturated for my taste. So my plan for this image is get a nice contrast like I did in the official grade for this video. And I basically wanna get warm things in contrast with cool tones. This is gonna be kind of an orange and teal vibe, like the real grade that I did. I'm not going orange and teal because it's easy. I'm going orange and teal because I like the vibes from this song and this video. There's a reason why I'm doing this, okay? Don't be the guy that just goes and tints everything this way like they probably show on YouTube. This is bad. This is unprofessional, man. Don't do this. So I'm gonna lower saturation, sorry. Because I don't like the image, it's too saturated. You could also raise it. Don't do what I'm doing just to do it. I would just say, look at your saturation. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And act accordingly. In reality, I would not use this slider, but I'm gonna just show you this way because it's simpler. I'm gonna go like this. And the image is looking better to me. This is okay. Now, I wanna do something. I wanna change the way the colors interact, but I wanna do it in a way which doesn't include a node tree after saturation this way. I wanna make something that it's gonna look complex at first, but it's very simple in nature. I'm talking about a parallel node. Do you see how contrast comes after exposure and saturation comes after contrast? I'm going to show you something. So our signal is traveling this way. If I give the image a tint, then I make a new node and I remove saturation, we have a black and white image. If I do the opposite, we're going to end up with a tint. I'm going to remove saturation and then I'm going to tint the image. Do you see how one is affecting the other? Because the order affects what we're doing. So the signal is traveling this way from left to right. Why is this important? Because if I remove saturation, we are literally losing detail right now. If I make a new node and I want to grab, let's say, I'm going to show you what all these tools do. If I want to do something like this and I want to raise exposure of his face, let's say, which should sit around here, there's almost nothing left to raise. We're raising the exposure, the saturation of this, but we're not touching his face. So what do we do if we want to desaturate something while keeping something else saturated? Do you see the complex situation? I told you, I'm going to show you how a pro does it. So let's delete this. We want to tell resolve. Let's go back. We want to tell resolve that we don't want to get the signal after this node. We want to get the signal after the things that we did. What would I do? I would hit Alt-P, which creates a parallel node, or Option-P if you're on Mac. And this creates, do you see, like the signal from contrast is being split to saturation, and it's being duplicated, not split. It's being duplicated, and it gets sent to this node as well, that I'm going to call, let's say, HSL. HSL stands for hue, saturation, and luminance. I'm going to show you why I'm calling it that. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. We're sending it to this node. This way, we can do two things at the same time. Do you see how cool this is? Now, if I remove saturation, look at this. If I remove saturation, but I go here, and I raise the exposure, we're in hue versus sat, okay? We're selecting a certain hue, a certain color, in this case red, and we wanna add saturation. Look at this. Do you see this? Magic. This is how a pro would go about it. So let's say you wanna make an image that only has this hue in it. You can do that. This is totally doable. I would actually go about it this way. I'm gonna make a different grade actually, because I like what this is doing. I'm gonna make a different thing from the thing that we had in the official video. So I'm gonna up the saturation just a little bit, because if you zoom, you can see that there's quite a bit of noise in the image, and I don't like that. You remember, it was underexposed. So the final image, yeah, we raised exposure, but it's not gonna be that clean. If we remove saturation that way, we might have a few problems. So I'm just gonna raise saturation just a little bit, just a few points, to not have such a big difference between what has a color and what doesn't. Then I'm gonna go this way. You see in this node we have nothing but hue versus sat. I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna bring our red saturation a bit back. I think around here, yeah, maybe even a little more. Then I'm gonna do something else. We have the option to basically get a new node. We can make a new node after this one. So you see the image, like the signal goes this way and this way, or we can make a new parallel node like this. So the image is this signal is basically being duplicated 3 times, like 2 times gets sent 3. In this case, I don't see right now a reason to make a parallel node. You can do that. It's not going to damage. I mean, it's going to look cool for Instagram that you have like this many nodes in parallel, but it's not going to, you don't need that right now. So I'm just going to make this, and this is going to be a serial node. I'm going to call it tint. Oh, sorry, tint. You're going to go right here, and we can try to get a tint going, and I'm going to show you something. I want to get this to look pretty clean right now. Maybe just get a slight tint of blue in the shadows. Let's see what it does. I don't like at all what we're doing to the image. Maybe we can up the saturation of this. Yeah, I mean, this doesn't look bad actually. Yeah, this is pretty cool. What if we add, I'm gonna do what every YouTuber does. I'm gonna add some warmth in the what you'd call the highlights. It's not just the highlights base, it's the whole image. But if you touch the gain, it's gonna affect the highlights more. So what I'm going for is kind of a neutral look, dark, moody, neutral look. This is different. This is like, I'm gonna go for this look because it conveys a different like message. I wanna do something different basically, and you can have a preference if you like this one or the official one that I did. I'm just gonna show you. So, okay, so don't be the guy that just goes like this. This doesn't look good. Just don't do it. Just don't be the guy that goes like this. This doesn't look good. Just don't add a tint like that. Use a tint sparingly. Have good taste basically, okay? So I wanna try to play a bit with the hue versus sat right here. This doesn't look bad. This doesn't look bad. I might actually, I'm torn apart. I might actually go like this. I might actually go like this. I don't dislike this at all. I'm gonna give back just some saturation. I'm gonna balance the warmness that we have with some blue in the midtones. I'm gonna touch my gamma. Just a little bit. Hey, I'm being very careful with what I do. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, I like what this is doing. So if we select everything and we deactivate that, you can see what we did. This can totally be a grade for something. You can totally go for a look like this. And let's try to duplicate it. I'm gonna grab a still. Actually, I'm gonna teach you a different way. You can just select this clip, right click, apply grade. Apply, and you've effectively applied the grade. I'm gonna go clips. Okay, do you see how this image is underexposed compared to the other one? I wouldn't say underexposed, it's just lit differently. You can get, in the original grade, I had a power window, I guess. I'm gonna show you how to do that. So let's say that we like this image. Maybe we can do something else with the shadows. Maybe I can go in the tint node. I can come back here. I can maybe give them a color. You can also go towards this. I mean, I wouldn't go for this, but you can, totally can. So I like the way this looks because we have color separation and contrast in the image. This is because of the warm things that we have and the way the image is lit, basically. So the grade is working well together with the image itself. If the image didn't have these things in the background, if it wasn't lit properly, the grade wouldn't have worked the way it does. So keep in mind that color grading always needs a solid base, okay? You can't just get something that looks absolutely trash with nothing to play with. You can't just make a Hollywood movie off of that, okay? So let's go ahead and I'm gonna paste the grade again right here. If right here you say like, so you can see that it works. I would personally go like this. I would select the 2 clips, hit this button right here. It opens, like we get this. We click on it. hit selected clips, and you can see both clips. I'm gonna close the clips tab, and I'm gonna try to look. This is a small display, of course, so I'm just trying to see if the exposure matches, and it looks like it does. Don't look at him, because here he's very obviously lit differently. Look at his back. This looks pretty similar, so I'm guessing the exposure can stay the same. If it were different, I would have just went right here and up the exposure. What we're gonna do is go right here, make a new node. We could do a bunch of different things. So if he was lit like this always, we would have needed to adjust contrast and exposure. Since it's just this clip, I know from the video clip that I created, there's a few clips where he's lit this way, and there's a few clips where he's not lit this way. We can just go right here. We can go into the tab where we can make windows, and we can, let me just get this out of the way so that we have a little more order. We can make a power window. I'm gonna call it PW. Go right here, select a circle. I think you've already seen this. You usually do this, like, don't get scared because of this. It's not uncommon to do these adjustments. It's very common instead. It's very easy. So let's see what happens in the clip. So I'm gonna get you like a pro advice. Don't track it. I think you've seen those videos where they make a mask like we're doing right now, and they just track the mask. It's gonna be horrible. Like, people are gonna notice what you did. Let's say that we raise not exposure, because I want to keep like his shadows the way they are. I want to raise the gain. I want the parts that are not lit that well to be raised in exposure. Do you see how it looks still like exposure is being raised because the shadows are coming up with them? Grab the lift and go back. Not too much. We still need to raise things. This is acceptable. Do you see how there's the, we can clearly see that there's a power window. Now we need to make it soft, okay? And this is very easy, but the real trick, as I told you, is not tracking it. You wanna know when to track and when not to track. In this case, the clip that we're grading, you know how it goes from, like, it kind of stays in the same place, which is very good for us. If it didn't stay in the same place, like if you walked in the frame, I wouldn't do this. Or if it were an emergency, if I needed to really track him, it would be very soft with very small adjustments. There's limits to what you can do, okay? Keep that in mind. In this case, I'm gonna just keep it right here, very soft, and it goes like this. You can't tell anything. Let's get it off. It needs to be bigger. Do you see how the car, we can tell that the car gets darker and that this part gets brighter? So we're gonna make it bigger right here. I'm gonna hit Shift H to see what we're affecting. Make it bigger. I can also just drag it right here. I think this is gonna be enough. Make this smaller. Off. I like what it's doing. Does look good. I mean, I like the car more with this. I like the contrast that we've given it. I mean, this wasn't something that I planned, but I like what it's doing, so I'm not even gonna try to exclude the car, basically, because I like it. I think it looks better. So we're just gonna roll with it. Now I'm gonna show you what this looks like in action if I do it. Let's go right here. Open clips. Apply grade. Of course, this is a very different setting. So why did I apply grade? I applied grade because I wanted to get the CST to work in a matter of seconds, because it's already set. Rename this EXP. Let's look at it. Clips, I don't want them. Color wheels. This is looking a little overexposed. I like it like this. Boom, new node. Contrast. Let's play with it. Okay, so if you bring the gamma down, we're recovering some of what we had in the sky. I'm getting banding because the expert that I did isn't really the best. But you don't need to worry about that. So I actually like this. I'm gonna go log wheels, up the shadows just a little bit. I like this. So look, like, I'm not doing that much. Do you see that? You gotta have good taste, okay? You don't need to do that much like I did in the official video. This looks good. This actually does look good. Maybe this one, like, you watch it tomorrow, like, maybe this sucks, okay? Maybe there's 10 things that I would change about this grade. Our eyes, they basically, maybe there's 10 things that I would change about this grade, you can always go back, okay? A lot of times when I work, like I grade, say, a different setting, a different image, then I go back and say, whoa, this has absolutely nothing to do with this. I don't like the palette. I don't like the fact that there's so much blue in the shadows. I can see it. I don't know if you can see it through YouTube, but for me, there's too much blue in the shadows right here. Maybe I want to change contrast, a lot of things, okay? Once you start grading, it's not uncommon to go back. Like it's not uncommon to go in this node and then go back in the contrast node, okay? You can absolutely do that. It's absolutely okay. Let's keep going. So, sap, let me see. So I would actually lower it just a little, not that much. Then parallel node, and we're gonna go HSL again, this way. So I know that I want my greens to look good, to be saturated. Resolve is not picking them up as greens, it's picking them up as yellows, which is fine. I'm gonna raise them a little bit. I don't want this hue, so I'm gonna change my instrument from hue versus sat to hue versus hue. This is like opening one of these, so it doesn't change what you're doing. Like if I go here, this part is still active, so you see it still changes even though I'm in another tab, so they're not exclusive. So I'm gonna go here, HSL, I'm gonna go grab my yellows, I'm gonna push them towards green, which is behind yellow right here. So hue rotate, once I select the yellows, hue rotate negative, and I just go until I like them. I don't wanna go too much, just a little. I'm gonna come back here, desaturate them a little, just a little. Maybe even a little more, something like this. I'm gonna go grab my reds, which is usually where the skin sits. I'm gonna saturate them again, not too much. This looks good to me. Let's see it from this shot. This is way underexposed and we have too much blue. So I'm gonna raise exposure. I'm actually gonna go like this. I'm gonna go select this right here, select Eclipse, just like I showed you before. I'm gonna match them. So do you see how there's this much blue in it and it's not really matching anything? So we're gonna go in the HSL that we just created. We're gonna go towards our blue, actually maybe more on the cyan. You can see what color we have in the image based on this. So the more this is, the higher this is, the higher of that color you have, the more of that color you have in your image. It's not saturation that we're seeing, is how much, like what part of the image has that color. We're gonna go towards our cyan and desaturate it like this. Now they're matched. It's not a perfect match. We could go like this, hue versus hue, go towards here and just bring it down just a little. This is okay. Saturation can come up now. We can also use the scopes to help us. I'm gonna go like make a different video about it. Don't you worry. Contrast is a little too high here compared to this one. So we're gonna go contrast and we're gonna pull the gain down. I'm gonna go back in the exposure tab, exposure node, go up. I'm gonna go in the contrast node, go down. Do it a few times. I'm gonna get my highlights, bring them down. Highlights is basically a way of affecting the highlights, kind of like gain does, but it's more targeted towards highlights. It's a middle ground between gain and highlights right here, basically. I'm gonna raise gamma at this point, instead of raising saturation because we're never gonna get there. Okay, how about this shot? I'm gonna go right here, apply grade. Again, since I'm still in this selected clips mode, I'm gonna go like this. We can also see them, 3 at a time. I'm gonna raise exposure. This is way too dark. I'm gonna go back here, desaturate my blues. And there we go. Do you see how the grade that I just made is so different from the official one that we used for the official video? This is not because what I'm doing now is necessarily worse. This is just because I'm doing something different. Okay, and you can absolutely prefer a grade over the other. I'm doing things with good taste. I would say that this has a little too much texture for this one. I would actually go right here, make a new node, mid detail, and start bringing this up a little, but this is for another video and for another file because we have too much banding right now. We risk destroying our image. So to recap what we did, we started with exposure, then we added some contrast. You can also subtract contrast. This is not something to be viewed as something that you always add. You can absolutely subtract contrast if you want an image with less contrast. Then we did some basic color shaping. We created a vibe. We decided like kind of a palette that we wanted to go with. And I would say just use curves, do some simple color wheels type of thing. You can give it a tint. Don't just be the guy that gets a 2014 YouTube film look in his footage. Don't just go orange and teal the bad way with the tint like I showed you. Don't do that. That doesn't work. It looks absolutely horrible. Be gentle with it. I hope you found this video useful. Drop a comment if you did, like and sub.